Hey everybody, so in the last video I asked you to start thinking about how would you build a last click attribution model, meaning assigning revenue to the last channel that a user interacted with. And I wanted to pause on that for a second because I want to start shifting your mental model of how to deal with these data sets. So our original way we brought together this information, source, medium, landing page, users, sessions, transactions, we sort of treated the different events like different little tables. Like we had a common table expression for traffic data, we had a common table expression for transaction data. We joined them together, and the only thing I ordered was transactions descending. Now, there are, what I want to show you a few things. I want to show you a couple of things here. So in BigQuery, your build either from, let me just do something here to like get this top right indicator to show. So you see where this says this query is going to process 8.12 megabytes when run. Some people, you pay per byte processed. That's probably like you and me. Some enterprises, they pay for slot time. And sometimes it, like, at my company, at our company, we pay for slot time. And it's interesting, if you look at execution details and we run this query for 8 megabytes, we took about 10 seconds of slot time. So 10 seconds. Now, what I'm proposing is there might be a way to write this more efficiently. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one of these kind of inner tables here, and I'm going to come down here and say, can we be more efficient? And one direction we can go is we could say, well, the event name is in purchase or session start. Right? So, okay, so now we're looking at any event which is either a purchase or a session start event. So what does count mean now? Well, count means everything. It means it's going to count every row for either a purchase or a session start. So clearly that's not what transactions or sessions is. We need to use some conditional logic. So I think I'm going to say count if. And when am I going to count? I'm just going to say, event name is equal to purchase. And I'm going to call that purchases. And let's just run that real quick. Highlight, hit Command E. Again, I'm on a Mac. And okay, so now I've got, that looks familiar, 75421. That kind of looks familiar. Now, what about, what if I want to do sessions, right? I'll just copy that down. I will do if event name and session start. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to copy. Sorry. I wanted to copy the count if. So what am I going to do? Session start. That's going to be sessions. And I guess I could still, how did I count users above here? I think that doesn't have to change because we're doing a distinct count. It doesn't matter if the user is generated by a purchase or a session. They should be in both data sets. But maybe for the purists, I'll say, case when event name equals, let's just count, session start, then where is is it pseudo user ID or user pseudo ID? I always get these mixed up. So we'll say case one event name equals session start, then pseudo user ID, else 0 end. And let me comment this out. Well, I'll just leave it right that. So let's, what is this actually doing? It's just looking at every row and it's basically saying, all right, if the name is session start, then emit user pseudo ID or else emit 0. So, in order to get the number of unique user pseudo IDs, what could we do? Could we say, count distinct? That's not going to like that. Well, maybe it will. I still have code above that's triggering. So no matching signature for case, must be coercible. So, okay, so the user pseudo ID, else, maybe I'll just put null. I think it was mad that I was passing in a 0, but the user pseudo ID is a string. So it wasn't happy with that. So, okay. Now, what am I doing here? Let's call that something as unique users, and I'll run it again just so it's clear. Now, let's take a look at the execution details. So slot time consumed 500 milliseconds. So that was 500 milliseconds versus 10 seconds. So what is that? That's like 20x speed up. That's not bad. 20x speed up for just using some conditional logic in the query. And let's look at the results again. Now, a good rule of thumb, and this might get a little bit wonky. I noticed it myself in between videos. How many purchases do we have here? We got 75421. What's going on with this other thing? It doesn't have any sessions. It doesn't have any unique users. So remember, 75421. Okay. Now let's run this original query. I want to show you something sort of annoying, and it's just a cautionary tale. 752. What happened to my 75421 ordering for number of transactions? Where the heck did that go? Well, this is a weird case where there are some transactions that don't exist. The combination of source, medium, and landing page don't exist here. They're not in our traffic data. They're in our transactions data. Let's run that. Remember 75421. Yeah, they're in there. But what is this other thing? So sometimes you have to be mindful of some weird details. Now, I don't know exactly why this is the case. It's web analytics data. The implementation might not be server side. There could be client side logic that is doing something strange. Web analytics data is generally pretty strange. So you need some quality assurance. But one thing you could do to kind of rescue this and make sure that that weird data is still in here. Let me just run it again. With 7542, that some missing data is instead of a left join, because we're starting with traffic data, assuming that every possible source, medium, and landing page combination is in there, but it's not. So we actually have to do something like a full outer join, where all rows from both tables on both sides are represented. The query engine will join on these keys when they're available, but they're not always going to be available on both sides. But nonetheless, it'll still show the rows. And there we go, 75421. Yeah, and in some cases, there's no source, medium, and landing page for these two rows. So, long story short, and 15 seconds for that slower query. So long story short, there are some kind of advantages from a speed standpoint. Using a single statement, it ran about 20 times faster. It was also immune from that problem related to our join and not having any data for some rows in the table that was on the left, or that we were joining to via a left join. And yeah, this overall is more comprehensive. The thing you sort of have to get your head around is saying, well, what events did I want? These are like my tables that I'm interested in. I'm going to pick them. And then, how do I articulate the difference between what a purchase is and what a session is? And, there are probably a few other ways, you could have done this, the case when pattern on account distinct. for unique users. I'm just kind of making this up as I go and revealing my inner monologue to help y'all learn. But yeah, there you go. So yep, next video, we're gonna go right back to the attribution model, get moving on that. But hopefully that was a good refresher on joins and a more compact way of writing the original query. So see you in the next video. Keep it up the good work.